In this video, I'm going to unbox a Chinese Tokarev pistol that I purchased from Classic Firearms. This is one of the new batch they just got in. I've always wanted one of these guns, but I've avoided them in the past simply because a lot of them had the side drilled for a safety. This one has a Glock style safety on it, which in my opinion is much better, mainly because you can change it out and put an original one on. We're going to open it on camera and see what we got. The first thing is I did order a second magazine with this gun, so as you can see, the magazine looks like it's got a layer of Cosmoline on, so take a little bit of cleaning, but they're pretty good deals, so I figured I'd grab a second magazine. The gun itself appears to be wrapped in bubble wrap. I'll take the box away. I'm just going to check the gun. First and foremost, it's not loaded. I'll take that out. Remove the magazine from the gun. There's no rounds in the chamber. And of course, we'll check it out. And the chamber is clear, so we're good there. So the gun itself looks in pretty good condition overall. Has a little bit of Cosmoline residue on it. It's a little teeny bit of rust at the front, but very minor pitting. Overall, good condition. It does appear to be missing back here the lanyard loops. I'm gonna have to try and source a replacement. The trigger itself is a Glock style trigger. They have to be modified in order to import them into the US. So what I'm planning on doing here is replacing it with an original Tokarev trigger, which I've actually just got recently from eBay. So I will do that. So I'm gonna pull the gun apart and I'm gonna go through everything with you. I've got the gun disassembled. Everything looks to be in great condition. It was a bit of a struggle getting the pieces apart, but got it apart now. It looks in really good condition inside. The barrel itself looks amazing. It looks like brand new. It doesn't even look like it's ever even been shot. Rifle inside is very strong. You can see it in the video, but it's in great condition. So overall, I think this gun's going to clean up really nicely. So as far as changing the trigger out, this gun was not as easy as the videos I watched on YouTube already. I don't know whether it was just me or the trigger. I have a feeling in my case it was the trigger, but I'm going to show you the problem I had and how I resolved it, and I'm going to show you how you remove the trigger as well. So basically you've got a tab up here you have to push over. Once you do that, you can then remove the grips all the way over. Let's push it a bit more. Get over to that side and it should come off. There we go. And then inside here you've got another little catch in here, and you have to push this one out of the way as well. So I'm gonna try again with this. You push that down like that, it comes off. Okay, so that's the grips out of the way. So what you have to do to remove the trigger is you have to get under here and just pull the back of the trigger bar down, and it clips, and it will then come out like that, and that's how you remove it, and that's it. However, my problem was with the trigger that they installed. Basically this piece on the back has a catch on the back, which is part of this Glock safety. What it was doing is it was catching, and as much as I tried to pull it down, it would get, say, this far down, but it wouldn't go past that point. So what I ended up doing is there's a couple of little roll pins in it. I knocked those two roll pins out, and then once I did that, that removed that central bit, and then it came out no problems. And then to replace it, it's the same thing in reverse. Doing is you put in your trigger back in, your new one, and you're just pushing it up, and that's pretty much that. And you just put your grips back on and you're good to go. One last thing about the trigger is I think personally that there's a huge difference in replacing it as far as the feel of the trigger. I don't like the safety they put in here. I don't think it's very smooth, and I've seen other videos where people have said the same thing. You still have a safety. When you pull it back to the first notch, that first click I should say, it's safe. It's not going to go off. Obviously once it's pulled all the way back, just make sure it's not loaded, which it's not. And when you pull the trigger, obviously it's nice and smooth. So this is something I would recommend you go ahead and do to your gun. Once they're imported, you can kind of do what you want to them. As I said at the beginning of this video, specifically bought this because it didn't have the safety back here. It wasn't drilled out. So it's much nicer because you basically got the gun back to its original look. The next thing is this. As you saw on my video at the beginning, I was missing the lanyard loop. Now I looked high and low on the internet trying to find one of these. I couldn't find one. I looked all over the place, trying to locate one. The only one I found was in Europe, and it was like $50, including shipping, which seemed a little high. So I decided to make one. And having searched the internet, I found some people mentioning the fact you could make one from a nail. So that's pretty much what I did. So I'm going to show you how I did that, because I did like 3. This is the one I ended up using. But what I did is I got a nail and I got a screw. And I used this to create the arc as far as the lanyard loop goes. And then what I did is I used a nail, put the nail over, and then used a pair of pliers to bend the nail over, which then gave me a shape like that. Now this one was a little too big, hence why I didn't use it, but you get the idea. I'd done another one before that, which was too small. So 3 goes, I found the right size, and that worked. Now, even after I did that, it was still too big to fit in the hole. There's a hole down here that goes all the way through, and what you want to do is you want to punch the broken part out, and it comes out this hole. So what I ended up doing was punching out from this side, punched the piece, knocked it out. Now once I did that, I cut the old piece off and put a little piece of it back in to fill the hole. And then on this end, this part was too thick. So I used my Dremel tool and I ground it down and rounded it till it fit, and then put it in the hole and then banged it into place. And as you can see, it's very firm, it's not coming out, and it does solve the issue. Okay, so the gun is now cleaned up. I spent probably about 3 or 4 hours working on this gun. It was pretty difficult to get a lot of the Cosmoline off this gun, but I think on a whole it's turned out pretty good. The gun itself had a little bit more pitting on than I actually thought it did. A little here, a little back here. The trigger guard has some heavier pitting. There's a little bit on the front as well, but it's nothing more than I expect for an older gun. And looking at Classic's website and looking at the pictures in detail as far as what they had listed, it's pretty much along the lines of what I would have expected. And one of the things I always do whenever I'm buying any kind of milsurp is I always read the reviews and look at the pictures of what people have bought. Was it worth the money? I would say yes. Anytime you buy anything that's going to be military surplus, you're always going to be rolling the dice. There's no guarantees you're going to get a good one. It's always possible you might get that one that's really rough. This one was somewhat rough, but not more than what I would have expected considering what I was buying. And looking at the pictures, I got pretty much what was expected. The only thing was the lanyard loop missing. I did reach out to Classic about this. They said they couldn't guarantee this, and that's okay. But ultimately, like I say, I was able to make one, so problem solved in that respect. I think the gun looks really nice, cleaned up. I'm always more concerned about the barrels anyway. Cosmetic stuff could be fixed. If you got a shut out barrel, obviously you got to buy a new barrel. And especially more so with rifles, it's more important to find good quality barrels. I do like the fact that they engraved it with the import information on the bottom of the gun, so it's out of the way, you can't really see that. And I would say if you're looking for one of these, all the different companies are offering them right now, I would definitely grab one while they're available. And especially with this ability to change the trigger out without having an ugly safety back here, I think that's an excellent thing.